In the year 1551, a decade after taking command of Kai province and securing every corner of his internal domain, Takeda Harunobu made a decision that stunned his allies and unsettled his rivals. Instead of announcing a new political campaign or forging a fresh military alliance, he chose something far more unusual. He renounced his birth name and embraced a new identity, Shingen. The ceremony was held with full Zen formality, conducted under the Rinzai school, a tradition known for silent meditation, discipline, and deep introspection. At first glance, many observers believed this was nothing more than a spiritual gesture, but those who truly understood Harunobu knew that every action he took carried multiple layers of meaning. This was not just a religious ritual, it was a personal rebirth and a powerful political message. The name he chose held profound symbolism. Shin represented faith, truth, and unwavering trust, a value once tied to his lineage, but now elevated into something sacred. Gen spoke of mystery, hidden depth, the unseen principles that govern the world. It was a name often carried by monks and sages, a name spoken with reverence. By taking it, Harunobu transformed himself into more than a warlord. He became a symbol of order, clarity, and spiritual authority. This new identity also marked a deliberate break from the legacy of his father, Nobutora, a man whose brutality and instability had left deep scars upon Kai. Where the father had ruled through fear, Shingen would rule through respect. Where Nobutora crushed opposition, Shingen would persuade, negotiate, and guide. He crafted the image of a Zen ruler, part warrior, part philosopher, just like the cultured Ashikaga shoguns who wielded the sword and the brush with equal mastery. By aligning himself with the Rinzai tradition, he not only refined his spirit, but claimed a place among the most revered leaders of medieval Japan. The people of Kai, long accustomed to his stoic silence and calm authority, saw this transformation as an elevation of their lord. Monks, who once kept their distance, now entered his court, and neighboring lords, Imagawa, Hojo, and even the formidable Uesugi Kenshin, realized that the young man from Kai was becoming something far greater than another ambitious general. From that moment on, Kai was no longer merely a militarily strong province. Under Shingen, it became a center of culture, strategy, and moral legitimacy, a rising power shaped not by war alone, but by vision. Yet even before he took the name Shingen, he already viewed Japan as a vast board of shifting alliances, where swords and diplomacy moved like pieces in a grand strategic game. With Kai secure, he turned his gaze north, toward the rugged and fragmented province of Shinano. Mountains divided the land, and dozens of local clans held their fortresses like small kingdoms. Conquering this region would require not one decisive battle, but a long, calculated series of sieges, negotiations, and precise strikes. And so began Shingen's expansion, methodical, relentless, and brilliantly executed. Shingen understood that no army, no matter how strong, could conquer Shinano by force alone. He needed to divide his enemies, win over the pragmatic lords, and crush only those who refused every offer of peace. The first major confrontation was with the powerful Suwa clan, rulers of fertile lands and holders of strategic fortresses. In 1542, after a swift campaign, Shingen besieged and captured Wahara Castle, forcing Lord Suwa Yorishige to surrender. But instead of humiliating him, Shingen offered a gesture of reconciliation. He welcomed Suwa's daughter, the young Lady Koihime, as his concubine. Years later, she would bear him a son, Takeda Katsuyori, the future heir of the clan. With this marriage, Shingen absorbed Suwa territory, while dissolving resentment in a single stroke of political genius. Yet not every clan would submit through diplomacy. The Murakami, led by the determined commander, Murakami Yoshikyo, became one of Shingen's fiercest opponents. Their battles were brutal, and at times, Shingen's forces suffered heavy losses. But through discipline, superior cavalry, and the rising use of firearms imported from the south, the Takeda army gradually shifted the tide. In 1550, Shingen conquered Katsurao Castle, crippling Murakami influence. Yoshikyo fled eastward, seeking powerful allies, an act that would spark future conflicts with another giant of the Sengoku era. Meanwhile, to the east, the Ogasawara clan, famous for their cultural tradition more than military strength, faced the inevitable. In 1553, after a relentless siege, Fukashi Castle, the future Matsumoto Castle, fell. This victory symbolized Shingen's control over the very heart of Shinano. But Shingen's domination was not earned by war alone. Between battles, he forged marital alliances, welcomed defeated nobles, and redrew the map of Shinano through diplomacy as much as force. He wielded the brush with as much skill as the spear. By the late 1550s, Shinano, once fragmented into rival mini-kingdoms, had been transformed into a unified extension of the Takeda domain. It was more than territorial expansion. It was the construction of a new political order in the mountainous interior of Japan. And at the center stood Shingen, daimyo, monk, commander, strategist, shaping his realm with unmatched discipline and clarity of purpose. But conquering land was only the first challenge, keeping it loyal, prosperous, and united. That was the true test of leadership. Shingen was more than an undefeated general. He was a meticulous reformer, a ruler deeply aware of his people's needs. While many warlords of the Sengoku era satisfied themselves with plunder, Shingen built institutions, systems, and laws that allowed his domain to thrive, even in the midst of constant conflict. His administration was marked by strict order and practical design. Understanding that water was the lifeblood of agriculture, he invested in vast irrigation projects, such as the Kanazawa system and a series of artificial embankments. These constructions prevented flooding, nourished the soil, and sharply increased rice production, making the Takeda land self-sufficient and economically secure. In matters of justice, Shingen centralized the legal system. He established local courts, clear administrative codes, and precise tax records that protected peasants from abuse by corrupt samurai land was redistributed more equitably, and even the lowest farmer could have his complaint heard. This fairness earned him profound loyalty among the common people. But Shingen understood that a stable society required more than law and economy. It needed spiritual unity. Through his devotion to the Rinzai Zen school, he held ceremonies, retreats, and fostered a culture of discipline that shaped the identity of the Takeda domain. He also kept close ties with the wandering mystics of Shugendo, mountain, ascetics, who preached moral order. Their presence strengthened his image as a leader chosen by both heaven and earth. His personal life reflected his philosophy. He lived simply, avoided unnecessary luxuries, and upheld a Spartan routine. He was accessible to his vassals, yet uncompromising in discipline. He recognized merit, even among men of humble origins, and inspired both admiration and fear. No symbol captured his essence more clearly than the Takeda. War banner, Fūrin Kazan wind forest, fire, mountain, swift as the wind, silent as the forest, fierce as fire, immovable as a mountain. These four characters were more than a motto. They were a mirror of Shingen's soul, the philosophy that shaped every battle, every reform, every decision. Under his leadership, the Takeda clan was not only feared, it was respected, admired, and in many places, revered. Across Kai and Shinano, monks, peasants, and soldiers spoke of their lord with awe. Even his enemies admitted, as long as Shingen lives, Kai will never fall. But in the north, one man did not tremble at the name of Shingen. One warrior matched him in discipline, vision, and ferocity. Uesugi Kenshin, the Dragon of Echigo, the man destined to face the Tiger of Kai in one of the greatest rivalries in Japanese history.